Now it looks like we are live. Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining me. My name is Jason Levine, and on today's live stream, we're going to be talking about sound design for a boxing fight scene with Adobe Audition. And this is actually something that I started last Friday during our Adobe Live Masterclass. So we're going to kind of pick up where we left off, and we'll actually hopefully complete all of the sound design for this little, how long is this? About 15-second piece this Friday, 10:30 a.m. Pacific time on Adobe Live, which is behance.net/live. So as always, thank you so much for joining. We're coming to you live on Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, YouTube, and Behance. So Mozaga, how are you? Robert, Carla Real, very nice to see you. Also, as you'll notice in just a moment here, I'll be working off of a different system, so my configuration and how I've got things laid out right now is a little bit different than normal. Z10, what's happening? All right, Desiree, hey, coming to us live on Behance. Very nice to see you. So, so actually, out of character for me today, I'm going to be working on a new... and I always forget I just forgot which is the newer one, either the Tiger Lake or the Ice Lake. Is Tiger Lake the newest Intel-based processor? So it's a new Dell Thin and Light system. So running Windows, y'all. Excuse me. Oh my God, I got something caught in my throat. Hold on, this is going to get loud, so I'm going to do this by muting first. Okay. What's up, Kevin and Gilbert? How you doing? So we're going to be working off of Windows on this new Dell Thin and Light system with the latest Intel 10th gen processors, and it works really, really well. Now, Sky, how are you? And hopefully the way that I have this set up now, I'll be able to also see all the live simultaneous chats. Vika Sharma, hello, thank you so much. Spiros from Greece, nice to see you. Steve Kosoboom from New Zealand. Wonderful, thank you so much for joining. Okay, Peter Whiter, good morning. Elsie Jordan from India. As always, it's lovely to have such an international audience. Okay, so let me go ahead. We'll just start first by playing some of this back. Now, by the way, this stream may run a bit long, so I'm going to try and do. I want to get quite a bit further ahead because I'm going to have a lot of work cut out for me on Friday otherwise. But this is already kind of showcasing to you what we are able to do thus far. And sup, Exit 501. And you'll take a quick look. So I'll go full screen on this. So essentially what you see here is I've got some Adobe stock content that I cut together of a boxing match here. And then we started to lay in the individual hits. So what you're going to hear right now, and this is part of my personal process for doing sound design, is that when I have anything like this where there's lots of timed events, in fact here, if I just mute the sound for a second, all right, and let's go full screen on this. So anytime you've got, timed events, right, where here you've got all these hits that have to be very, very precise and really spot on to sell the visual. This was something I was mentioning in the masterclass on Friday. Now, anyone who does sound design knows this. There is seldom a time where one single sound is used, for something like a hit or a punch. In particular, and this was from a lot of user requests, part of the reason why I chose this boxing scene is because punches, fighting, is something that is truly, totally created in the sound studio, right? If you watch a real boxing match, you might hear, like, aside from all the crowd screaming, but, punches don't have a lot of sound to them. They might have a thud, they might have someone reacting, guttural noise. But the punch itself, it wouldn't be fun to watch if you didn't have all those wonderful audio things happening as you're watching a cool, like Rocky or something like that. So I actually went back and rewatched a couple fight scenes from Rocky 3, which is my favorite of all time, and then Creed 2, the latest one, to kind of see what they're doing. And it's all very similar. And the idea with sound design, of course, is that you're layering things, right? You are compositing sounds. Think about when you watch any of these like Jurassic Park, Jurassic World movies. What does a T-Rex sound like? We don't have sounds of that. So we start with some animal, maybe Maybe we start with an engine sound. Maybe we start with a, a chainsaw, and you slow it down, or you flange it, or you manipulate it, or you do something to it. And then on top of that, you continue adding things for attack purposes, for, growl. You can modulate, so you can get like, whatever it is. You got to get creative. And part of what I showed last week was that I even went as far as doing some things. Here, I'll switch back to my screen so you're not watching this little thing right here. I've recorded some of my own sound design, just by hitting my fist into a pillow, a really dense Tempur-Pedic pillow, to kind of get a good bassy thump, right? Which is kind of what a punch would sound like. And then I even went as far as going in my ambient, echoey bathroom and punching myself in the abs and recording that to get kind of a brighter, slappier kind of attack, which again, all combined together can make up a really good pfft. So what you're going to hear right now, I'll turn all the sounds back on. These are just the initial hits. So what I like to do when I'm doing something like this is I'll go through and I'll mark, and we're going to do some more marking, find out time code wise where those initial hits live, and then just start by putting in an initial punch, right? Just something. It may just be, whatever it is. Mix it up a little, but something to just kind of account for where those initial hits are, and then we're going to build them up over time, all right? So I've only done about 5.5 seconds of this. It takes a lot, but take a quick look and listen to this, and you'll see here. And this includes not just punches, but we even added some, there's some like uppercuts where they miss, and for that I was saying, you use something like a whoosh, Again, go watch Rocky, go watch Creed, watch any cool film, probably, Fight Club. It's been a while since I've seen those, but anytime somebody misses, what does that sound like? Well, it sounds like nothing in reality, but to sell the visual, you want, and then you add the glottal sounds, like all the grunts, a lot of friends of mine who used to do this stuff a lot for Hollywood films, it's really common. Of course, they may have sound libraries already. They'll do things like, punching, meat, they'll go to like, if you know your local butcher, if you like punch huge things of hanging meat, you can get some pretty good slaps and attacks. But even that isn't so necessary because you can make up all these sounds after the fact. All right, so let's take a listen to what this sounds like with just these initial hits. All right, here we go. All right. It goes by so quickly in here. I can even, we'll mute the crowd for right now and come back to this and just listen to the hits. And you'll hear there's a couple of those. And it really sells it, right? When he misses it, you really feel it. And when he lands a really big one, right, you add that whoosh in there because you kind of want to feel the motion. You want to feel the air coming towards him and just knocking him out. Now, what's cool about this clip, and hopefully we'll get to this today, is that you'll see there's all this real-time stuff, and then I cut to some slow-mo. Because, of course, here is where you're going to emphasize those attacks, right? You're really going to emphasize those punch sounds. They need to be bigger. They need to be elongated. They need to be stretched out. The whooshes, the grunt sounds, whatever it is, needs to be bigger, bassier, boomier, to really sell the shot, all right? So we're going to do that. But before we even get there, what I need to do is continue to go through here and mark where all of those additional hits are. So let's go ahead and do that. So here, I'm just looking over for just additional comments here before we get started. All right, what's up, Carl Newman, Hussein Ali, Anil Berry from New Delhi, nice to see you. Digayu from Sri Lanka, hello. Thomas from Austin, great to see you. Miguelo Francis from Ghana. All right. Massimilio Bonnavia, hello. I searched for a whoosh affecting the Audition files in the download, can't find that. Do you know where I can get something? So yeah, so in fact, here, so as we're getting started, so for those of you who might be looking for where can I access some royalty-free sound effects, in the Audition help menu, you will actually see, and unfortunately I don't have my Zoom set up here in Windows, but you have this area here called Download Sound Effects and More. And if you go there, it's going to take you to an Adobe Audition downloads page where you'll see right at the top here, sound effects. And it's 27 zipped bundles with over 10,000 royalty-free sound effects that you can use. And this includes everything from ambience, animals, fire, explosions, Foley, imaging elements, impacts, industry, liquid and water, transportation. There's a lot of really great stuff in here. Weather. So, Massimiliano, for your question, I know we have some whooshes in, I believe, under production elements and science fiction. Now, those are a little more, again, on the digital side. So you might get like kind of a whoosh as opposed to a, you can also, by the way, and let's see here, I should be able to access this. Here we go. Yes. So I talked about this last week. The BBC last year was kind enough to make 16,000 of their classic recorded sound effects available to the masses. You can find this at bbcsfx.acropolis.org.uk. And again, you have this incredible library of sounds. If I just expand this a little bit here, kind of give you an idea of just all the various categories. And you can see here, it's really like an endless list. Battles, beach, blacksmith, body scanners, bottles, booze, bubbles, buckets, bulldozers, cash dispensers, chisels, clubs, bars, horns, computers. It's 16,000 of them. Some of them are old. So a lot of these are from some of their classic libraries, which date back to the 60s, and there might even be stuff from the 50s in there as well. So you'll see some indicators in the sound descriptions, like it'll show that it's been reprocessed for stereo or something like that, because it was likely recorded in mono, which all things at the BBC were done, and certainly in the 60s. So you've got a lot of stuff that's kind of reprocessed for stereo, but you can instantly preview it right here. You can download it. It tells you the duration, the category. It's just a great way to access sound design effects. So again, Massimiliano, that's, I would check that out. There are some whooshes in there too, although they're a bit more on the comic. I looked them up here too, and it's a lot of like, like that kind of stuff. So maybe you could cut it out. They're like, I found them in combo sounds. There's also a nice search bar right up here. So you could just type in whoosh and search, and you'll see right away it found one. So here's one here. One whoosh, two whooshes, 1967 reprocessed. All right, let's hear what that sounds like. Let's see. Not really what I was looking for. How about this one? 3 whooshes with ripping fabric. Again, this is 18 seconds. So again, you can start searching through these. But I would definitely check them out. What's up, Kendall Hotchkiss? Yes, this is super cool. Again, awesome for MoGraph and anything else that you're doing there. Rick is saying he got the BBC sounds and they work great. Yes, awesome, right? Rand MK Productions, are the BBC sounds free for commercial work? So you'll see right there, it says for commercial use, you can license sound effects. So there is a separate URL here that they'll go to and it'll explain all of that for you. So you want to check that out, all right? What's up, Nahum from Mexico? Infundera from BBC. Okay, very cool. All right. So, all right, let's get to it, shall we? Sorry, we were diverting here. Let's go back to Audition. All right, so the first thing I'm going to need to do here is mark the remaining sections where we don't have sound. So I'm going to zoom in. I forgot I've got this mouse here. My setup is totally different right now, so I'm not quite so used to it. All right, you're going to hear me doing a lot of back and forth. Now, typically when I'm doing this, by the way, this is something that I talked about the other day. I will often turn off the play audio while scrubbing so it doesn't drive me and everyone watching nutty. We can do that once we add the sounds back in. but I know I've got these hits right there. All right, so there's another something right there. Oh, I marked that already. Okay. And then here, so here's what you can see. It says left hook with whoosh, because we want this to be fairly big. And then it looks like his right hand, he goes to hit, but he kind of pulls back. So maybe, maybe that needs a sound, because he kind of does like a 1-2. So I'm going to set another marker right here by hitting M on the keyboard. Now, if I go into my marker list, what you'll see is that all of these are labeled, and I labeled them specifically as W or B. W for the man in the white shirt and white, I think he's wearing white trunks, and B for the guy in the blue trunks, all right? So based on the different boxers. And then what kind of sound it's going to require. So in this case, I'll type W, and we just need a whoosh. We don't need a punch for this one, okay? And then if you look up at the top here, it says W whoosh. So I mark and retitle the markers so I know what it is that I'm laying into the multi-track environment, all right? So let's keep going. All right, there's a lot of movement here, just a lot of moving around, nothing. So this is, again, where you might do some, like, some intense breath sounds. You have to gauge it as you're watching it. Foley and all that stuff, all that type of Foley ADR is or non-ADR, but Foley replacement it's critical, right? It's really, it brings you into the scene. If it's totally dead and quiet, you don't feel it. Part of why I put that temporary ambient noise, which, by the way, those ambient noises, which you can hear down here, these are from the BBC, and these were both under like wrestling matches. Okay. Okay. All right, so let's keep going. So a lot of movement, no hits, and then right about here, I think this dude gives a left hook. It looks like we've actually got a touch. So our guy in the white trunks actually hits his glove right there. So I'm going to set another marker. We'll call this W glove touch. We had one of those earlier. Now that might need a whoosh too, because you can't really see it. It's off camera, but you still want to be able to hear that. So maybe we'll add a little bit of a fast one right there. All right, but at the same time, you can see that we've got this left hook coming out. Now the attack happens almost at the exact same time. So I'm going to back this up just a little. Actually, maybe I'll just put it a little bit more forward here. I'm going to adjust the timing of these anyway. Set another one. And this is going to be B for blue and punch. L hook. Okay. Keep going. All right. And now this is where it gets interesting, right? Because now we've got this slow-mo stuff. So you've got a nice little, I can't really quite see. It looks like he hits his face. You can see his body moving back right there. So let's just tag it right about here. B. Slow-mo punch. Slow-mo face punch. Okay. So why face punch versus like I've had something like left hook or like body punch? Because again, a face punch is going to, think of it as being a little bit brighter, right? It's not going to be like a necessarily to the face, although it could be. If his face totally, knocks back, then yes. But if it's just a punch in slow motion, you want it to be a little bit brighter. You want it to have a bit more of an attack, almost like a slap or a crack, maybe elongated or stretched out. Versus if it's a body punch, which I think our friend here receives moments later, right? It's all about that bass. Look, he even like flies back. So there's the hit right there. Okay. And this is W, slow-mo, body, and this will be, I don't need to put a whoosh here because all the slow-mo ones are going to be kind of stretched and slowed down. And I'll show you that in just a moment, how easy it is to do that. Audition makes that really easy. All right. So he kind of flies back. And this is also where you can get kind of creative because you have the hit, right? Maybe you have a really elongated bass note or some kind of LFE, some kind of low frequency effect to simulate that, one, he's kind of like knocked off his feet, right? And also dizzy and sort of like just not in his head. So I might just have an arbitrary marker here. And I'm just going to title this LFE. All right. So I want some kind of low frequency effect, right? Something that you would feel in the subwoofer, but also here in your front left and right. Just something kind of bassy and, disorienting, right? He's disoriented after that hit. All right. And then we'll keep moving. How much more do we have to go? Just a few more seconds here. All right. He's out. That's it. That was the hit that did it. All right. That's the one. And maybe we have an effect as he kind of, he doesn't really hit the banister there. But you could have a sound that's like some kind of crash, right? Crashing down. All right. So I'm just going to do just that. Crash to floor. Okay. All right. So now we've laid everything out. So now we can go back in and start adding in those individual hits. Okay. And again, we add, initially, I just start with one hit just for timing, right? I just want to see if the timing is right. And then we'll go back and you'll see I basically given myself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 5 tracks to layer the sounds together. All right. I'm not saying you're going to need 5 sounds for each of those. In fact, some of those, yeah, one hit might be fine. But I'll start just by laying in a single one. All right. So the first one we have after this, got this whoosh and a punch right here, is this left hook. All right. Now, again, it looks like we might need a little bit of a whoosh or something in there to give it just a little more momentum. But let's go into my files. So these are all the ones that I've already used. And if you turn on at the bottom of your files panel, there's an autoplay button. So if you just click on these, it'll automatically play each of these samples. The first ones here that you see in the list, Ab, Bright, Punch, these are ones that I recorded with the iPhone. This is just me hitting my own abs, all right? All right, these deep punches, again, same body here, just, like open fist, close, like just hitting myself in different ways to capture slightly different tonalities. Now, there's no reason we can't reuse these. In fact, here, let me see, what did I use right before? I used a deep punch and a bright one just before that. So this is a right hook with a deep punch 1. So maybe we do deep punch 2. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a little, almost too bassy, but that's okay. Deep punch 2 right there. And again, with a little whooshing. It'll be even better. All right. So let's see. Now, what whooshes have I used? See that? That one's got like a nice long decay. All right, we're going to go to my media browser here because here are all of my already curated samples. So let's start. We need a whoosh. So come down here. Oh, these are like whip cracks. We were working on those last week. I like that one. A little kind of a flop. So maybe I'll use that. Again, kind of for this initial hit right here. Now that one actually works. That, if you look at it, but I want it to be lower pitched. So here's where, again, just for that initial hit, I might make some changes to this. So with this clip selected, the timing looks good. But I go into my properties panel here. And under the properties panel, you have stretching options. So under stretch, under mode, I'm going to go into real time. And for the type, you have 3 types: monophonic, polyphonic, and vary speed. Monophonic and polyphonic will allow you to independently adjust pitch without affecting duration, or the reverse. You can affect duration without affecting pitch. Vary speed is going to simulate just that. As if you slow it down, right? If you elongate the clip, if you make it longer in duration, the pitch is lower. If you speed it up, the pitch is higher. So we don't want that. I don't necessarily want to slow it down because the timing is right. I just want to see what this particular whoosh will sound like, just transposed down a little bit. So I'm going to use the monophonic mode here, and then you'll see right below that we have pitch. So we're not adjusting duration. This is going to allow us to keep the duration the same, but just to adjust the pitch and semitones. So let's see what this sounds like. We'll go back a little bit right here. Go down about 8 semitones. Oh, yeah, let me turn off the crowd noise. It's hard for me to hear. Nice. I think that actually works pretty well. All right. Versus if we go back to the original. All right, so let's put this back to here. Oh, I can just turn this off, actually. Just turn it off. Keep the parameter the same. So here's the original one. All right. It works, but I like it. I want it to be lower pitched. Let's go back and turn this on. And now play it. All right. And remember, it's just the initial bit. I know you're thinking, oh, that's so small, puny. Yeah, we're going to accentuate it. We can add, again, a little bit of ambience, a little bit of reverb, maybe even stretch it out. So if we also wanted to adjust the duration ever so slightly, okay, we can do a couple of things here. First of all, you'll see that if I grab the upper left and right corners of your clips, you're going to have these white triangles. This is called clip time stretching. I can stretch this out to elongate it. Now this is affecting the duration. This is affecting the timing. So for this to work, it's changing where that transient occurs. I might need to move this back. Let's see if this is still going to be kind of in time and if this is going to work. I will probably undo that, but let's see. Oh, that was kind of nice. I don't know why it's like, it's not, the sound device here is not kicking in. We're losing it every now and again. You hear that? Why is it doing that? I'll move this to another track. I don't know why that's not playing nice, but let's see. Yeah. Why is it cutting off? Let's see if that fixes it if I render it. It's not liking real time for some reason. Okay, there we go. Nice. All right. It wasn't liking the real time. Okay. Let's move on. People watching now going, God, is he ever going to finish that one hit? Well, you know, we got the attack right just from the start, but it's those little bits of finesse. It's a lot of back and forth. It really is. All right. Okay, so let's see what have we got. That's good. Then there's all this movement. And then we have, okay, so glove touch plus a whoosh. So the gloves touch there. So for that, let's see what we haven't used in here. So do we want bright? I kind of like that. So let's put that in there. All right, and line that up like this. So fast, right? You have to really watch because then it happens so quickly and then it cuts to this scene here. So, and I think that with a little added will actually sound pretty cool. Okay. And what we can do with this, put this one here. Whoosh soft slightly. Oh, it's not the sampler. Oh, it's got to convert it. Okay, that's fine. Let's shrink this up. Now, first of all, this one too. I don't need this as long, but I do want some of that. I do want some of that decay. And we'll probably just very subtly adjust the volume on this. So I'm using the volume envelope on clip volume. Okay. So just like with Premiere, you have separate clip and track volume. The yellow line that you see here represents, represents the clip volume. The blue line that you see here, this represents clip pan. So you can pan these per clip inside the track. So the track is a stereo track. You can still have this clip playing in one particular spot or the other, or even having it move from point to point. So let's say we wanted to do that just to kind of give it a little bit more emphasis, right? So first of all, let's look at the timing and see how this is kind of sounding. Ooh, that could be cool. That might just do it. Ooh, that was pretty cool. Now, why I like this is because this then, you have that decay, and then that suddenly takes us into the slow motion. So that's going to kind of carry over into the slow motion. So maybe we do a little bit of like a pan. Now, it's so fast, right? But let's just globally take the pan here, and I'm going to set a keyframe. So I'm going to click on it, set another keyframe right here, and then very quickly kind of have this go from left to right. All right. Now, if you're hearing some little clickies in there, which I believe you are, the reason for that, of course, is because we want to be able to set the stretch method of this clip to rendered, okay? Again, because we did that pretty significant time shift, because it's playing it in real time, it won't render out that way in the end. But just for preview purposes, if you don't like the way it sounds, it's bothering you, you can just momentarily click it into rendered mode. That basically creates a pre-render of the stretch. And now when we play this back, you'll be able to hear this a bit more clearly and sort of more definitively of what it'll likely sound like in the end. Cool. All right. Okay, so we have that. And there's also, you can see there's this punch right. See, I don't even know if we need this punch, right? This, because this is the guy in the white trunks hitting the glove, but we had that simultaneous hit. I don't even think we need a secondary hit there. We're kind of getting it all. If we want to just add another one, why not? Let's go in here.
Hello punches.
Oh, no, that's the master clip. Maybe we'll get a slap. put that in there, and we'll just kind of put it slightly afterwards. This is going to create what's known as in drumming as a flam. Brat, brat, brat. So it's not exactly on time. It's not exactly at the same moment in time. It's milliseconds later. So you get this ba-ba, ba-ba, right? It's so quick, you may not even hear this. It may actually just sound more phased, but let's take a listen. Oh, yeah. Yeah, sounding pretty cool. All right, let's take a quick look at some of our comments here. We enjoy every day. What's happening? Is there a way to print out the markers with label list so it could be given to someone to go collect the sounds? That is a fantastic question. Is there? Didn't we used to have this ability to print out these markers? Well, you can certainly, obviously, screenshot the marker panel with the time code locations and by the way, you can see these can have like full-on descriptions in there inside the marker panel. I don't believe we have a direct way to export the marker list. I think I'm thinking of Prelude does that when you're doing when you're adding markers inside a Prelude. You can actually export that. I don't believe we have that here. Do we? So, oh, we do. Yes. Okay. I couldn't remember. See, sometimes I forget. Yes. Excellent question. We enjoy. I just had to look for it right here. Export selected markers to CSV. So yes, you can create an Excel file, CSV file with all of the markers and data. And that's awesome. Okay, cool. Yes. Thank you for reminding me. I honestly, I couldn't remember. And I was thinking Prelude. I'm like, I thought we had this in here. So yes. Yes, you can. Cool. All right. Sifrifana, hi. How are you doing? So nice to see you. Rogelio, what's happening? Rudy from Minnesota. Assam Idrisemi, how are you? All right, Regina Costa, hi. I have lost the last video. Is it still on? Where could I find it? YouTube? Oh, Regina, yes. So you can find that last video on the Adobe Creative Cloud YouTube channel. It's also on Twitter, Periscope. That one was not streamed to Facebook because it was a masterclass. So you can find it on Behance, behance.net/live, as well as on the Adobe Creative Cloud YouTube channel. And that was last Friday. All right. Beaufort Williams, how are you doing? Naveed. Love you too. Jordan Matthew. He's had some luck with free sound. I don't know if they're ideal, but decent sound effects. Oh yeah, very cool. Thank you for that, Jordan. Wayne Fox, thank you for doing this tutorial for boxing. I can start and do this to my training videos. Yes. Now that's the other, Wayne Fox, that's a great comment. So while I was watching Rocky and all these other things, I also stumbled upon a bunch of, because I watch a lot of fitness videos, a lot on YouTube. And I've even found, and this is not to make it not legit, but a couple of the, like I just happened to stumble on some where they were like showing some martial arts moves, and like I've got on this spiral with like Joe Rogan and MMA and finding like fighters and everything, but they were showing those style moves, and they all had sound design. They all had sound edited back against the picture to just sell the movement, because they were kind of showing some of them in slow motion and just like showing, okay, well, here's what that combo move looks like. Boom, boom, boom. It just sells it, right? And I was watching that going, damn, you know what? That's like some awesome production for a workout video, right? It was just kind of showing some different moves for stretching and balance and precision and things. So cool, right? Naveed, how about cartoonic bird sound at the end? Well, yes. Right as he's falling. What is up, Shasha from Malaysia? So nice to see you. You need a Batman POW, Charlie Barta says. Absolutely. And you can always cut those graphics in when we send this back to Premiere, but you can have the... I mean, that's the thing. You can make this as comedic or as serious as you want. But in terms of serious, remember, if you were doing it just for real, punching sounds like this. Not interesting. It has to be... And you see what I'm doing right there with the... All that has to be in there. We haven't even gotten there yet, right? Okay. Oh, and Neil Barry, thank you. You answered probably before I even got to it, but that's awesome. Paul G, the camera angles are messing with my perception of what's going on. Now, Paul G, that's exactly why, and I've already done some of it here. I don't know how much of that's coming through on the stream, but that is, oh, what just happened to my video panel? Did I close it? That's specifically why I panned a lot of those. Oh, did my UI get messed up? It did. Did I, oh my God, did I do that? What? I changed the UI. How the heck did I do that? Oh! I'm very compressed in this space here today. Not happy about that. Clicking all over the place. Subtext, man breaks down in studio. Okay. Yes, where were we? Panning. So I already have done some pans to align the visuals so that the sound is moving the way that you're seeing it. All right. Not everything is panned. A lot of the stuff is still in the center, but that's why I'm actually indicating left hook, right hook, and then indicating the boxer so that when we get to that mix stage, remember, this is just to get the attacks in there. I usually keep everything in mono in the first place just to see if there's going to be any weirdness. A lot of your sound effects libraries out there, and this even includes some of the ones in our sound effects library, sometimes there are phase issues, particularly when things are summed to mono. Because, and in the case of some of the reprocessed for stereo, weird stuff can happen when that stuff is summed in mono. So it's not a bad idea to kind of keep everything centered. And then when you get into your final finesse, polish mix, pan things accordingly so that it follows the visual on screen. Awesome comment there, Paul. All right, Ian McKenzie. Oh, thank you so much. Respect. This is great work. Appreciate that. Amy Schiavo, how are you? I am staying healthy, just frustrated. Thank you very much. Charlie Barda, 3ds Max. I know, right? I know. I was just like clicking accidentally. Plus, I've got a keyboard mounted strangely over here. Sweet. All right. And yes, we enjoy every day. Much more useful than a screen capture. Agreed. Agreed. Kendall, this is cool. I'm not great at sound design, so glad I can learn some tips. Awesome. Kendall, do you ever record your own sound effects? So yeah, so that's, you just heard, I think, I don't know when you sent that comment. It was probably before I even showed that. But yeah, so there's a whole bunch of those in here because I just didn't really have what I wanted. So yeah, if I were to go back to my media browser, which, because I changed the workspace, got undocked. So thank you, me. All of these right here. Those are my abs. And then this is the deep punches into pillow. That's me punching my Tempur-Pedic. Right? Get some really nice... Punching pillows is a great way. And these were all done, by the way, with the iPhone, with the native voice recorder. It is fantastic. I've talked about that a lot on stream. A lot of people are like, do I need, a Zoom H5 or H4n or something, or do I need a Tascam or a Boss recorder? I mean, those are wonderful, and you have obviously multi-input options and different metering options and many, and surround and ambisonic recording with those. But if you're just looking for something to capture sound effects in the wild or in your environment, the voice recorder on the iPhone is a phenomenal recording app. People always ask, are there any good ones on Android? There may be. I don't have an Android phone. I don't use Android. So I can tell you when I had an Android phone, that was my first go-to because I use the recorder on the iPhone all the time. And I just didn't find any that sounded great. The one nice thing about the iPhone one is that it has some kind of built-in limiting circuitry. So it's very difficult to distort or to clip the voice recorder in the iPhone. This is key. Now, that's not to say that it has auto gain control. It doesn't. It might have some at the limit, but it doesn't like automatically amplify silence or anything like that. It's just really good. Most of the Android ones that I found, and there were thousands of them because anyone can submit an app to the Google Play Store. they recorded okay, but they didn't have any kind of limiting. So the second you went above 0 digitally, you just had a terrible sounding result. And a lot of them were just very thin and kind of crispy. So you just might need to do a little research to find a good one. But yeah, I record my own stuff all the time. And, you know, that's part of the fun, part of the process. Okay, so now we've got 3 more hits. You're probably all bored already. I've been taking so long to do all this. All right. So while we're still in the decay of that long whoosh, right, we got to come in for this punch right here. Now, this, we're going to have to get a little creative for this initial punch because we're definitely going to use pillow one. I'm thinking this one here. All right. Let's stick this up here. And I already know right away I want to go into properties on this one. And I'm going to want to, I think I'm going to vary speed this one. Because I want to make it longer, right? I want the punch to be elongated. And I also want to vary the pitch here. So let's go ahead and stretch this out. And again, I may have to back this up. Let's see how that goes. Yeah, see the face? We might be just right. Let's see. Ooh, yeah. Okay, so this has to happen sooner. Got to get that happening right about there. All right. We don't need any crossfade on that. See what I mean? So now that the attack is right, I'm going to drag this out even more. Now we may, again, this is the initial hit. So we might lose a little bit of that attack transient smack, but that's okay. Right, like MYP. Very interesting with the iPhone recorder. 2-gain mic process. 2-gain mic process. I'm not sure what you mean by that. You know, the standard recorder, you don't have any, that's the one thing, you don't have any gain settings as far as I know, but it's very resilient. Like I even record my live piano rehearsals with that, full voiced, usually sitting about, I don't know, a foot or so from my mouth down on the lid of the piano. And it never distorts. I mean, it's really quite something. But again, there are other recorders even for the iPhone, like iRig and things, where you can use external mics and other things where then you have recording meters and other stuff. I mean, there's better ones. That's just the free one. All right, let's see this again. Ooh, yeah. Almost sounds like a gunshot, right? Now, we're not going to get into the mixing part of it here because, again, this is just the initial hit. So don't go like, it needs more. Yes, I agree. But here's a something. Here's a something. Here's a little of something. Here's something that you could consider doing. This is a perfect opportunity to leverage a little reverb, right? This is typically what you would do in this case because you don't just want the sound effect itself to be elongated. You want there to be some ambience to, again, fill that space so that you really feel the air of that punch to the face. So I went into my effects rack, and instead of using track effects, because I don't want to apply reverb to everything here, I just want to add some reverb to this clip itself. You can see I clicked on clip effects right here. So I'm going to go into this. Now, typically I would do this via a bus. I'm just going to confine this reverb to this one clip, send and return real easily. Let's go into reverb, studio reverb, and let's do something like Great Hall. A great hall is going to be a darker, warmer sounding, reverberant space, not bright, not tinny, not thin. It's going to be big and boomy. There might even be something like, do we have anything in here like concert hall? We don't. Okay, so great hall. That's effectively what that is. I'm going to have 100% dry signal because I want all of the attack of that pillow thump, but then I want the wet, it's set to around 40%. So let's hear what that sounds like. Kind of cool. Kind of liking it. Can you hear that? Can you hear it trailing off? Here's the before. It's good, but it just ends a little bit early. Here's the after. All right. And again, we're going to accentuate that with additional hits, maybe even a gunshot, maybe even an explosion, but just way back in the mix, just to give it that smack that it deserves. All right. And do we need some additional whooshing in there? Let's see where we are. So we could do something like, yeah, like maybe we could reverse. So let me show you a little technique that we could use. I'm going to double click on this deep punch. So this is the original file. All right, what's happening? Okay. If we reverse this, so first of all, let's do this. Let's select everything. Let's copy this to a new file. I'm just going to show you. We're going to get experimental here for a minute. So what I'm wanting to do is to create, again, another kind of whoosh. All right, maybe without using the whoosh though. So you can take something like this attack. And by the way, this is a great sort of sonic example of leveraging how to read a waveform. So that first peak, that's what's called the transient. That's where you're getting that initial smack. And then everything else there that you see that's kind of tapering off, that's the, right? That's all the other sound over time. Well, if we first pitch shift that, right? So we're going to elongate the clip to make it lower pitch, and then we reverse it, you're going to get this. And if you segue together, so you put them back to front, the reversed, and the forward version, it can sometimes make for a very big kind of, again, like swirling your head around. So you just really feel it, all right? If this is your first time watching, this is how I am all the time. You know what I mean? So let's do that. So let's first start by going into time and pitch. And let's go into the pitch bender. Oh, the pitch bender? No, not this one. We have several different pitch effects. I always forget which one I like the best. Pitch shifter? Oh, Reichlich. It is real. You are live. You saw me once in Zurich at an Adobe event. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, wow. Zurich with Rufus Deutschler and Greg Ruiz, probably, if I'm not mistaken. We haven't been in Zurich in a while. Wow, that's so cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I appreciate the support. Okay. So let's see. If we make this, we want to make this more than twice as long. Now that's kind of interesting in and of itself. So here's the original. I've now elongated it 242%, but without changing pitch. Here now you got this really nice thick thud at the beginning. Oh, that's kind of cool. Maybe make it even a little bit longer. So that's 242. Let's see if we go to like, what happens if we go to like 300%? Now that's cool. Now remember, the plan here is to reverse this, so that might be too long. So I think maybe 242 is kind of the sweet spot there. All right. Let's go ahead and apply that. And let's go up to Effects and Reverse. And now, here's what that sounds like reversed. Right? And these events are happening pretty close together. So we have that kind of one whoosh before, and then you're just going to kind of hear this crescendoed, right? So let's see. Now, we are also, here's a key, we're not going to actually leverage that attack transient. We're only going to go up to right before it. So in fact, I would probably come in here and just get that out, because the attack that we want is actually already in the other sample. However, we could also layer these two on top of one another. This is a different pitch, so you're not going to get like an out of phase issue. You could do what you want. In fact, I don't even have to theoretically destructively cut this out. I can leave it and then just trim the beginning. So maybe that's what we'll do instead. So let me go ahead and save this. So we'll call this Pillow Punch Reverse. And I want to save this and make sure it's going into the right folder. All right, so it's on my desktop. It's going in here. Punch SFX. Let's go ahead and save that. It's 48K, 32-bit mono. All right. Like this. Let's go back over to multitrack. All right, we've got our big deep punch. And let's go and grab, this got moved also. Let's grab our file. And what did I call that? Pillow Punch Reverse. Okay. And we're going to stick that on this track right here. And by the way, this is where, so again, I'll move this marker to the correct space. Let's zoom in on this. Okay, now like I told you, I don't know that I necessarily want to use the actual attack here. But let's see. This might work out nicely. Again, we're talking a really small amount of time, so let's just take a look and wind it back a bit. And this right now, just to see if I even like, it's sounding a little kind of, yeah, it is sounding a little brighter, phasey, digital. We can fix some of that with EQ, by the way. But one thing that I want to do right now, because this is so mission critical for selling it, we got to go left to right, right? The arm is going left to right. This has to move. So we're going to do just what we did before. I'm going to click here, a couple keyframes. All right, 100% left. Click the end here. Ends up at 100% right. We probably even need to move these in a little bit more like that because it's so fast. All right, but just to have that whoosh kind of move. And then, as I was saying, come in here. I'm just going to loop this back for a second. And let's solo this. And let's just do a high frequency roll off. All right. So before, after. All right, like that. Let's wind this back, unsolo. Here we go. I'm loving it. Okay, and then here's that gut punch. So I would almost, is it Alt on Windows? Alt, yes. Alt drag will recopy the same file. I would almost grab this same hit again for the body shot. All right. Oh, wait a minute. Is that it? Is that the right one? That's not the right one. Control C. It's a level up. It's here. Always scroll. All right. Let's grab this. That's what I want. Let's see how that works. Oh, wait. Whoops. Wrong hit. It's here. Gosh, I'm all over the place. And maybe that one is even, let's even drag that out even more. Again, just to kind of differentiate. Okay, yeah, see, we went a little too far. Now we're losing a bit too much of the attack. But that's okay. It's going to be augmented. But look, right, it's a little bit before. I'm watching his stomach. So the attack is really right there. So let's move this over so that we keep these things aligned. Okay? Pretty cool. And then we could have some kind of... Now, for that sound, we may just have to overdub that. I don't know if I can... We could probably find something in the library. In any case, let's go now. Wind this all back. Since how long have we been going? An hour? Oh my God, this has been a long stream. Should we put... Let's first just take a listen with just what we've got, and then we'll put the crowd noise in, all right? So here we go. Oh, and that's what we need. We need the landing. We need something else here, like a big, because he's crashing. So I'm going to go back into my media browser. Slow-mo sound is hard. Awesome, right? Yeah. That's the key. Is slow-mo is the most challenging. If you can get that initial attack and then kind of get the idea of what you want, right? It's the same hit, slowed down, but not too slowed down, right? The timing has to be just right. It's all going to work. So let's see. I don't know if I have... Maybe that'll work. Let's see. Crash to the floor. We'll just see. All right. And already I'm going to tell you. So we're going to go properties, right? Real time, vary speed. And we're going to stretch this out like a lot. Maybe I'm a little late. Yeah, no, I think I'm right there. Probably actually make this happen a little bit sooner. All right. Let's bring our crowd noise in there. Let's see what we got. Okay, the crowd noise is a little loud. It was kind of overshadowing the slow-mo hits because, you know, there's not as much attack on them yet. So I don't know if that was coming quite as well over the stream. Here, I'll drop the ambience. Let's drop these down to around -12, just so that there's a little bit in there. And watch that one more time. And then we're going to answer some questions, and then I will send you on your way. Oh, something else I want to show you too. Another really cool thing that you can do for the slow-mo stuff in particular. Again, it doesn't happen in nature. It's how you perceive it on screen. Is using echo or delay, right? So that initial hit. Just having those kind of echoey and elongated can kind of work really nicely. So the way that I would typically do that, again, I'll even do it on the track here using a send. We're going to need to create a bus. So under multi-track here, we're going to create a new stereo bus track. We're going to call this delay. And let's just move this down over to here. All right. And what are we on? We're on track 1 here. So now I would use some automation to only turn this on for these specific hits. I don't want it on everything. But if I turn on send 1 on track 1, all right, and we're going to add it to the delay bus. Now this red button that you see here, this is what's known as a pre-fader or post-fader send selector. You can send the signal independently to that delay bus and control the delay by itself, and then still have independent control of the dry signal. In order to do that, you would do what's called a pre-fader send, meaning that it's sending it to that delay bus independent of what the output fader is. So that's actually what I need to do. To do that, though, it's the other, you can see, I don't know if you can, I can't zoom in, but it shows the fader, and then it has like an arrow going that way. It has to be the reverse of that, right? It's before the fader. So it's going to go black like that, or dark gray. So we're going to do a pre-fader send, and let's adjust our level here. And then on the bus, we're going to come over here and go into analog delay. And let's do something like, like 500 milliseconds. That might be a little too much. We don't need any dry signal because this is, again, just the delayed, actually maybe a little bit of dry. We'll do about 20%. Mostly wet signal. We don't need too much feedback. I do want to trash this, though, so the subsequent repeats will be darker. And I'm not worried about the spread so much. And let's see what that sounds like. Right? Oh, shit. Excuse me. Sorry. Scheiße. Sorry about that. Keyboard's flying. Okay. I got excited. Here, take a listen. Okay. And maybe it needs to be a little bit slower. Although 450, that was actually pretty good. What if we did like 550? Let's see what that sounds like. No, 450 is the magic number. All right, super cool. Now, what I need to do so I can play this back and kind of appreciate that is I'm going to twirl down where it says under read here. This is our automation lane. And I want to show envelopes for analog delay, or actually rack power. All right, so I can turn this on or off when I need it. I don't want this to go on until that slow-mo hit, right? I don't want it on this whoosh right, that hit. I want it here. So right now is the power is on. So I'm going to turn it on. But before that, it'll be off. All right, so you see what I just did there? I created 2 little keyframes for the rack power. So if I just play this back, you'll hear this hit. No delay. But then listen, it'll kick the delay in once we get into slow-mo. All right. Pretty awesome, right? Or not. I think it's pretty awesome. Just a little bit of automation there. But again, standard kind of technique to enable audio effects. So now, let's see, is everything... Oh, did I turn those back on? I did. All right, let's watch it. Okay, pretty cool. Save. Actually, we're going to do a save as. Number 2. No. All right. So there you have it, my friends. A little more sound design for a fight scene with Adobe Audition. So what did we cover today? So we covered marking position, laying down initial hits using global time stretching, clip time stretching, both varying pitch and or duration, sometimes independent of one another, sometimes time effects for something like delay or echo, again, to kind of accentuate those hits, kind of transition into that slow-mo and make our own kind of whoosh. But again, just to create a little bit of drama right there, just using a simple reverse process, right? Which is just, it's really easy and organic, nothing fancy there. And now the next step, now that we've laid all those hits, and then the more fun part, which I can't wait to do Friday, is to be able to do all the I'm gonna have to do different voices, so I'll have to like pitch shift. All right, right, Jack. Oh, the child is crying. Thanks so much. Glad you learned a lot. All right, Mio Decade. Right. Let's see if we've got any more on the tubes. Oh, and We Enjoy Every Day is saying, would you slow down the crowd during the slow-mo part? Yes, absolutely. Because everything in that moment is slow-mo. So absolutely. And in fact, that's great because we can do the same thing. In fact, what I would probably do is just cut the audio and then slow-mo. So there's like an instant transition, right? And here, we can even, that's a great comment. So great that I'm actually going to go and do it right now. Because that's exactly what I would do. So let's zoom in to where this is happening here. Okay. So it's here. Right. And probably the same kind of thing. I'm thinking, so here, I'm going to cut this right here. All right. I'm going to select this clip. And we're going to go into real-time stretch. And I'm thinking vary speed. I think I'm going to vary speed it. So let's just stretch this out. Yeah. See, creepy. And by the way, if we wanted to, this is kind of a hard cut, right? It's going from real time to slow. Automatically in Audition, and because we cut this in the middle of the clip, if I simply drag the edge, see what's happening there? It's creating a crossfade from the original into the slow-mo. Now, we'd want a pretty fast crossfade. You don't want to give it away that we're slow-moing it, but just so that the transition is a little smoother. You could even do it a little bit more. All right, just a little less. By the way, you can also adjust the handles of the fade here real easily, so make it fairly sinusoidal. And then we're going to do the same thing on this ambience track. Let's come down over here, make it a little bit bigger. Slice it. Let's vary speed it. Like that. Drag it out, kind of the length of the other one. It's probably going to sound pretty good. Let's just take a quick listen. All right. Oh, was I not? Oh, did I do the wrong part of the clip? What did I do? Why are there 3 cuts here? Oh, I cut what did I don't know what I did. I don't know what I did there. Oh, I see what I did. I wasn't using the stretch. I was just elongating the piece. I'm going, why is it the same pitch? Yeah. Now that one's real dramatic, right? Yeah, okay. So, whoops. So we don't want this much crossfade because this is the hits right here. So fairly quick. All right, cool. All right, let's hear the whole thing now. Zoom out. Just we don't have to watch the whole thing. Just kind of right towards those last hits right here. Right? It's like gets creepy too. There's something, and you can imagine again. You have that the music. This is where we haven't added music yet. We talked about music on Friday. That's gonna really sell that in the slowed down crowd. Excellent, super awesome. Glad we're thinking alike. Sweet, yes, my friend. Steve, it's always great when a chat fan suggests an idea to try and Jason Rapol goes for it. So totally right. Yeah, I mean that's what this is all about. Love this. Love all of you. I mean it sincerely. You know this. Okay, so let's see. Let's go back to Facebook here. When you cut in multitrack, it cuts everything. I'm not sure why. If you can tell me how to turn that off, it would be great. No, so here's the thing. If you just use the razor on a single clip, as I just did. Oh, you can't see me. Sorry. There's the difference between splitting and cutting, right? So if you just use the razor tool, I must have had 2 clips selected when I did that. That was user error. But you can see right here, I just have this single clip selected. If I just make a cut right here, it only cuts this green clip, Paul. It doesn't do everything. Now, if you have the cursor there and you right click and you say split all clips under playhead, yes, that will cut everything. But even just split should only do the currently selected clip. Okay, so if it's cutting everything all at one time, is there another function here? Yeah, so you can see if you select the razor tool at the top, it's selected clips tool, all clips. So you may have inadvertently changed that to all clips. If you're looking up at the top there, Paul. So this is in your tools panel. So you may have just inadvertently selected razor all clips. Set it back to selected clips tool, and then it'll only cut a single clip, or whichever one you have selected. All right. Taylor Stoma, did you work with any DAWs before Audition? Yes, of course. So I was originally on what predated Pro Tools, which was Sound Tools or Sound Designer, which is a 2-track DigiDesign audio editing application. And yeah, so I worked initially at the very first version of Sound Tools, Sound Designer Pro Tools 8, Pro Tools Mix 24. All the original Pro Tools stuff is where I learned when I got to Berklee College of Music in the early 90s. Don't mind telling you my age. And over the years, I mean, I've used Nuendo a little bit. I used I think it's defunct now. Nuendo. Well, Logic a little bit. I've never done too much recording in Logic. Studio One, that's PreSonus's one. I recently just tried that. I've used Ableton from time to time. I like Ableton. It just really depends on what you're doing. And because I work for Adobe, you cut me, I bleed Adobe Red. So I like to use our product. I still exclusively use Audition for all of my audio production still to this day, even without MIDI or looping or any of that stuff. I still record it all live. People watch me. I do it all the time. So it just depends what you're doing. If you're really doing specific music-based composition, yeah, Ableton or Pro Tools is just, they're just designed for that. They're better for that. But what I love about Audition, aside from the integration with Premiere and all the other CC apps, is really primarily the editing. The editing and conversion, if you're doing it, or mastering. It's transparent, it's seamless, and it's incredibly fast and fluid. Even if I, at some point, move back to something like Pro Tools for music multi-tracking or whatever, I would still do editing and mastering and Audition and sample rate and file conversion because the algorithms are just that good. And it's so fast and really, really reliable. So that's kind of my take on it. But it's whatever you feel comfortable with, all right? Sumento, I think you can try distortion or humming in the crowd ambience at the time you're using the slow-mo. It might make the sequence more intriguing. Oh, yeah, totally. Again, like having some kind of unnerving, dissonant tonality. Yes, and that's maybe I think what you're talking about with humming, but you have it at two different pitches, and you get like, or you do like what's known as a minor second, but a very low frequency minor second, creates a lot of tension, and that's what you want in that scene. So yeah, that's an excellent comment. All right. Oh, and Paul G saying, yes, if you hit R twice, it'll cycle through the methods of the razor. Okay, yeah. I'm not a shortcut key person, so I don't, I never do that. But yes, glad I could help you with that. Ampere Collins, is it possible to learn all the Adobe Suite? Jason, how best can I do it? Well, it is. So, you know, right inside the applications, of course, you do have, Learn capabilities. In the CC desktop application, we have CC Learn, so you can access training videos. It's just a matter of finding the one and where you are. You know, maybe you know a lot in Illustrator, but you're not so good in InDesign, or you kind of already know the basics of layering in Photoshop, but you know, need to understand a bit more about 3D compositing or something like that. So it's all out there. It just depends on what you're looking to do. Okay. All right. And lastly, over on Behance. Okay. Kendall saying, got a Rode mic for my iPhone so I could do a better animatic voiceovers, but that's good to know. What's the general difference between mix and sound design? I hear the terms a lot, but not very clear on what the difference is. Yes. So the sound design is really just the process of laying sounds, sound effects, and that includes Foley and ambient sound and other things timed against the picture, right? So, you know, you have a smack, a crack, a clash, or whatever. You're watching timing, and you're aligning sounds and building sounds, designing sounds a la Photoshop, layering things together to create that sonic oral picture. The mix is, once you have all that, now we have to adjust levels, we have to adjust stereo panning, we have to adjust loudness and dynamics, right? If everything is the same loudness all the time, even the punches, it sounds like an 80s video game, right? You don't want that. So it has to be right, big, loud, you know, very reverberant. So that's the mix. The mix is adding the polish, the balance, the leveling, compression, dynamics, you know, actual audio effects like reverb, like delay, like flange, all of those other things. So that's the difference. So the design part is constructing the sound against picture. The mix part is basically creating the soundscape that you're going to play back and listen to that just sounds perfect. It sounds blended. It sounds evenly balanced and dynamic and ready to go. All right. Yes, ominous with thud. Exactly. That's, you know, that's one of my trademarks. Oh, Dean Phillips, you are very kind. I'm such a gem to the Adobe team. Thank you very much, Dean Phillips. I sincerely appreciate that. Okay, Elena, what's up? Stoops Mike. All right, very nice to see you. Okay, my friends. Well, listen, you've hung out with me for well over an hour, so I sincerely appreciate your time. Of course, you'll be able to watch the replays right here and there on YouTube, Twitter Periscope, Facebook, and Behance. I'll be back tomorrow on one of the various Facebook pages and across all the other networks, streaming on probably something in Premiere After Effects. And then on Friday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, I'll be back on Behance Adobe Live, so behance.net/live, where we will hopefully finish and wrap up this sound design project with the fight scene. So we'll actually do a bit of the mixing, Kendall, so if you can catch that, of course you'll be able to watch the replay as well. But you'll get to see me do more of what I did today, like adding some of the delay and things and adding the reverb on the clips. That's all part of mixing, all right? We're just going to finesse it even more when we get to the end and once all those sounds are together. So until then, have a great rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world, and we'll see you again next time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.